guys, and welcome back to the Power Rankings. So, this week I am talking about Xena, Warrior Princess. And the reason why I'm going to be talking about that is because just recently my other half has run out of things to binge watch on TV. So what she's decided to do instead now is she's decided to start binge watching Xena with me. Now, as a kid, Xena was one of my favourite TV shows growing up. I spent a lot of time watching Xena with my mum. And, yeah, there's quite a lot of good and interesting episodes come out of it. So that's what I'm doing for my Power Rankings this week. I am rating my favourite top 5 Xena episodes. So, kicking it off at number 5, The Bittersweet. Now, The Bittersweet is an episode that's actually a musical episode. Now, normally when it comes to musicals and any TV show that has a musical episode in it, I'm not that bothered. But with The Bittersweet as an episode, it sticks to the whole Xena theme, and it kind of pushes the story forward whilst bringing in all these fantastic songs that kind of stick to the Xena sense of music as well. So, like, Xena has an interesting style of music. I mean, even when they went over to Chin and you've got stuff like Taking Flight and stuff like that, songs like that still had a big Xena feel to it. So, with that being said, they've stuck to still having the Xena style music, whilst really pushing the story forward. And I mean, with everything that happened in the episode before that, it really needed that episode to kind of change the story and move it along from there, because without that, I suppose it'd have been really hard to see where they'd have gone from it, really. So that episode really needed to happen, and the music in it was fantastic, which is why it's definitely made its way into my list. And then at number 4, now number 4 is technically a two-parter episode, but I'm going to class it all as one. The episode that I'm going for is The Debt. Now this is in season 3, when same as Bittersweet actually, season 3, where Xena first goes over to Chin, the land of the rising sun, where she meets Lao Ma. You get to see all about her past. Then once you've got all of her past, it then also puts you into present time, where she then uses that to push you further on there. And you can't say without a shadow of a doubt that some of Lao Ma's quotes and some of the stuff that Lao Ma says is absolutely brilliant. I mean, even when you've got Minsu's talking about Lao Ma, then Lao Ma then responds with that, saying like water, one of the softest things that there is, but who can ever withstand the raging flood. Stuff like that is just absolutely brilliant stuff to come out of Lao Ma with that. And then there's also some other stuff, like the just the way that she gets her powers with the stop willing, stop hating, stop desiring, all that stuff. Just absolutely fantastic stuff from Lao Ma. I mean, she was a fantastic character, and it really pushes some stuff forward with it as well. So, just again, story driven. Those two episodes did a hell of a lot for the series. So again, without those episodes, the series I don't think could have really continued in the way it was going. Especially when they've talked about Xena's past so much, but they've not really shown so much of it. And then in that, they showed a massive chunk of Xena's past and some of the terrible things that she'd done in her past. Now, following that, you've had the serious ones that have driven it forward, but then you've also got the comedy side to it, like Been There, Done That. Now, without Been There, Done That, I mean, you have episodes that mean absolutely nothing through it, which are just there as time fillers basically until the next bit of storyline comes into it. And I do like the comedy side to them and the slightly pointless episodes, but the comedy ones are the best out of it. And Been There, Done That is the episode that I've watched so many times, just due to the fact that it's one where the day keeps repeating, and it starts off where, if it's the first time that you've ever seen it, it comes to the point where Joxer, one of the main characters, actually ends up dying, and you're like, what? How? It's such a sad moment that it's confused everybody by it, and then next thing, she's woke up, Joxer's alive again, and there's, like, later on, her horse dies, her best friend dies, I'm pretty sure she dies. Yeah, just, it's strange the way they do it all, and then end up Xena saves it all, but throughout all of it, it's just absolute comedy gold throughout all of it. I mean, when she can't reset the timeline, she just loses her temper, throws a chakram, ends up killing Joxer as soon as the day starts. There is absolutely some comedy features in there, and it's definitely a must-watch episode, is that one. I mean, it didn't drive the story forward. I mean, technically, it's an episode that you could have done without, but without the comedy episodes, what really is a good series? I mean, really? Which, on the same thing, you've got my second pick, which was Liar Liar, Hearts on Fire. Now, that one is another musical one, but unlike the first musical episode, you've got, this one has some absolutely classic songs in it. I mean, you're talking War, what is it good for? You got Sisters Are Doing Things for Themselves. You've got People Everywhere Just Gotta Be Free, Kick Out the Jams. I'm sure I'm missing some other good one. Oh, there was one that I'm missing. That, how could I forget it? You got Dancing in the Moonlight in there. I mean, seriously, I mean, with top classic songs like that in it, how could you not like the episode? And when, I wouldn't say it drives the story forward, but it kind of serves a purpose as well. You can't argue with an episode like that, really. So, with those being my first four, I will get into my honourable mentions. But first, I'm going to fix my camera because it's really starting to bug me. There we go. Problem solved. So, my first honourable mention goes to the Furies, where the Furies then... I'll move that on, so I've just realised that. So, the Furies end up persecuting Xena with persecution and madness. So, not only has she got a bounty on her head, but she's also crazy. And God, is Crazy Xena funny. I mean, what an absolute fantastic episode it is. Again, for the comedy factor, you can't argue with that one. Then you've got the Black Wolf, which is an interesting episode because it brings in Salmonius. Salmonius is an absolutely fantastic character. It's a shame that they didn't use him more, quite frankly, because he definitely deserved to be in there a lot more. You got 10 Little Warlords, which was an episode where in real life Xena had fell off a horse, and I think she'd either broke her neck, broke her back, something. Either way, she couldn't do any acting. So what they did, they put a storyline in place where she swapped bodies with someone else, and actually Callisto played Xena for a while. Which this was an episode where Callisto was Xena for the entire episode, and it was absolutely fantastic to see not only Callisto play the Xena character, and to see how they do that, but just to see the other side of it as well, with all these different people thinking that she's Callisto, some realising that she's Xena, and just all the different ways that they went about it. It was fantastic, not to mention Ares in it being mortal was hilarious to listen to a mortal god, basically. And talking about that, you also need to mention the episode of Callisto. Now, Callisto is an absolutely massive character in Xena, and it's not fair to give a top 5 episodes without even mentioning the episode with Callisto, because without that episode they'd have not even brought in one of the biggest bad guys in the series. And I definitely think without Callisto they would have kind of struggled to move on, because they never really had that big, massive bad guy in the series to go with it from there. But my final pick is, you can't really give a top 5 as well without at least giving a little bit of tribute to A Friend in Need. Now, I know A Friend in Need is a 2-parter episode, so I'm just going to quickly skip over this. But A Friend in Need did need to be in there for the simple fact that they had to bring an end to everything somehow, and with the ending that they had, I don't think there was any other way to do it. I wish they'd have tried to go about it a different way, but they had to bring an end to it somehow. So the way that they did it kind of did the point, and also with all the backstory and tying it in with Gabrielle and all that, it finished everything off perfectly, I'd say. But my number 1 pick. Now, what would my number 1 pick be? It has to go to no other episode but Old Ares Had a Farm. Now, what would a god do if he lost his powers? If he was completely mortal in the entire world, wanted to kill the god of war, what would they do? I'd go work on a farm, that's what I'd do. No, to be fair, it's probably not the option I would go for. If I was a god now mortal, I probably wouldn't go work on a farm. But hey, sometimes these things that you have to do, sometimes you just have to go out there and start shoveling shit. As a comedy episode, it is absolutely fantastic. It is possibly and arguably the funniest, best episode in all of Xena. And I won't say it needed to happen to drive the story forward the same way Been There Done That wouldn't really have drove it forward, but without it wouldn't have tied off in that series quite as well. It was absolutely amazing, and the relationship between Xena and Ares in that episode, it was quite brilliant, quite frankly. So yeah, that is my pick for the top 5 episodes of Xena. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know whether you guys want to see Xena come back or not. I know they've done the comics recently, where in the latest comic that they did last year, they actually talked a bit about the story of where it'd go after Xena, and would you want to see anything else happen? Would it even be the same actors? And if it's not the same actors, would it even be the same? I don't think so. I wouldn't mind seeing Xena come back, but I don't think I'd want to see it come back with any other actors. And I know a lot of people want to see it tie off the love relationship between Gabrielle and Xena. I'm not too bothered about that either. I won't mind seeing, if all this time has passed on and they have aged, I'd like to see what Eve is doing in this time and where everything's gone from that. And there's so much that I'd want to see happen, that it'd be interesting to see what they do in the modern day and age. I won't say in the modern day and age, but after 20, 30 years have passed on, whatever, what they would then do. So, who knows, it might actually come about. There has been talks about it happening for a long time. Well, let me know if you guys would be interested in seeing it anyway.